course, I'm Jazz Tankay, Senior Artisans Editor from Variety. How are you all doing tonight? Isn't this one of the best films of the year? And I say films as opposed to animated feature. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Let me introduce our incredible panel. With us tonight, we have writers and producers Phil Lord. Come on out, Phil. Chris Miller. We have actors Hailee Steinfeld and Shameik Moore. Enthusiastic. Okay, we have composer Daniel Pemberton. And directors Kemp Powers and Joaquim dos Santos. I'm curious. Is anybody seeing for the first time tonight? Look at that. Look at that.
Nice. How'd it go?
Oh
How was it?
How to play?
Great.
You're like, wait.
How to play.
Nice.
You're like, wait, how did you leave it on that ending?
Yeah, sorry about that.
First of all, congratulations to you all. My jaw's still on the floor. Like that, the animation is incredible. The character development. Come on, let's get a round of applause there. Shameik, I'm going to start with you first of all, because here's something really fascinating as I was reading tonight. I understand you didn't get the full script when you were doing your parts. Is that correct? Can you elaborate and share a little bit more about that?
We here.
Yeah, no, we didn't. I didn't have the full script, but I had an immense amount of support and people who did have the script, or at least knew what was going to happen.
You had a lot of faith.
A lot of faith, a lot of trust,
and goodwill.
A lot of that, but a lot of confidence coming back in, knowing what happened that first time. And I've said this a million times. I'll say it a million more. I had no idea what was achieved with the first film was even possible, let alone what happened with the second. So I walked into this with the utmost confidence in this team and in myself, because I had lived with this character and I understood sort of where I was and where I wanted to go. And I was beside myself when I learned that we were going to dive a little bit deeper into Gwen's world, and that was one of the first things that I did learn. So they did keep us in the know, but it was a journey of taking it one step at a time and keeping the faith and having the trust and going on the roller coaster. Shameik, what about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. But I didn't really worry about it with these guys. I'm just happy to be there, honestly. So, and whatever they said to do, we was gonna do it until we got it right?
Yeah, and look, the process of these movies is like workshopping a play. You're like Kemp's an actual playwright, in addition to all these other wonderful things, and these guys have a tremendous amount of generosity to embody these characters for so long, and to be part of the creative process with all of us, to sit here and go like, how would Gwen experience this? What is it like when Miles and Gwen see each other again for the first time? Like, you guys helped us so much with that. In fact, point of fact, they hadn't spent time together since the last press tour. Wow. Until they recorded together. So they were like so excited to see each other. We're like, everyone shut up, turn the mics on and do the scene with this energy. And what's so fun about making an animated picture is there's so many artists involved, and the collaboration that you get from that is so wonderful, and you feel it on the screen. It's not like no one of us could do it. It takes 1,000 of us.
Yeah.
I want to jump on what you said about, the actors being able to record and, together, as opposed to in your bedroom. I'm sure some of you actors out there know what it's like to do those voice recordings. Talk about, as directors, what was that like for you to, work with the animators, see the actors bounce off one another, and that, the insane chemistry that they had, and how that helped evolve.
Yeah, I mean, it did feel really, I gotta say, it did really seem very familiar to what I've been accustomed to on stage. Because interestingly enough, I mean, obviously we had returning actors like Shameik and Hailee, but we also had a lot of new actors. And we even had some people who'd never done voiceover and animation work before. So this was like, it was a really interesting thing, because when they come in, we have a picture of a character, and then one of us talks about it. they're like, so this is your character. You're going to be this guy. And they're like, well, is the script there? And it's like, no, not yet. But let's just like talk about this character. And it's a conversation. I think in the case of everyone in our cast, we encourage them to kind of like push back. You know what I mean? Because, you know, Phil and Chris are such brilliant writers. Dave Callahan did such a great job. You know, I write as well, so I'm going to have my feedback. But at the end of the day, the actor is actually, I think, the best versions of a film are ones in which you engage actors as collaborators, and that's really what they should be. I think there's a bad version of animation voiceover where people think of it as like you just come into a booth, you do a couple of lines, it's an easy job. If you're doing it right, it's actually not an easy job. It's actually incredibly complex, challenging, emotional work, because your physicality is not going to be seen in the film. The physicality is going to be done by the animators, and it's syncing those two things up. So I mean, we always say that like the actors are half of the character and the animators are the other half of the character, and those two sides don't even meet one another. So, you know, we record the actors' performances, but animation is not mocap. We're recording it just so that the animators can get an idea of what the actor's looking like as they're doing those things. But collaboration, it almost seems like a cliche. We say the word so much, but that really is the truth of it. And I have to point out that like you don't always have this level of collaboration in films like these. Sometimes it is kind of like paint by numbers. And this was the opposite of it. It really did feel like we were making like the world's biggest animated piece of theater. And it is very theatrical. You know, you'll notice things like dramatic close-ups that you often only get in live action. Like that, those were incredibly conscious decisions. That's why I think I even blanch when people like say animated film. I'm like, you mean film? Because a lot of us do live action as well, and this is a film, just like every other film that I've worked on, and these guys have worked on. It's just a film.
Yeah, when you get actors to be able to, we didn't always get people together, but when we did get people together, the scenes were really elevated because you had somebody to react to, and they were really in the moment. I think about the scene with you and Issa that we did together, and when you got the two of you together, the dynamic, we finally found what the dynamic was, and the stuff that you did with Shay, Wiggum, who's also a super genius, and we had you guys do a pass where you would just breathe, so we could get your breaths in the scene, so it didn't feel like just go in, say the line 3 times in a canned way, and then walk out. And so it really was this like evolution where we could find the scenes and find the moments and get the best version of the movie.
I just want to go back to what Kemp said, the animators, 1,000 animators worked on this. Can we give
1,000 artists and filmmakers.
Just so people understand like the scope of how big the film is. Daniel Pemberton, your score. Performed it live in concert a couple of weeks ago. I mean, this is wall-to-wall scoring. There's so many different multiverses that you're scoring for. What were the conversations that you had? I'm assuming you got to see to have access to the full script.
I would say it's a very, like the Spider-Verse world is a very fluid world where things can always be improved, and they are improved constantly. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I had was, me, Justin, Joaquim, and Kemp, and I got shown like the kind of amazing worlds they were creating, like the different art styles. One of the things that's straight away blew me away was just the sort of insane level attention to detail of all these different worlds and the different approaches and the different art styles. And that was like my first way in, was trying to I basically had to write different scores for each universe and for each character. I got to spend more time with Gwen finally, which was nice, and create Gwen's world, which had like this beautiful kind of watercolor, textual, dreamlike quality, and I wanted that music to be influenced by that, and also her background as a sort of drummer, and I wanted to create something that had each world had its own sound in the same way as an art style, but at the same time they could all combine at the end and all interact with each other. But another thing that's been amazing working on this is you know, I know they're here tonight, but the voice performances on this, I had to see over and hear over and over again. And every time, they were so inspiring because they're such good performances. And it's weird, I was watching them, they felt so natural. And every now and again, I'd be like, these are amazing. Like, they never, ever got boring. They always inspired me. And they were generally a big part that would inspire you to write scenes that were emotional or exciting, because I'm reacting to both the artwork, the story, the performances, everything. Sorry. It's true.
I love that. To what Daniel said about, you know, the voice acting is incredible, and, you know, what is your process in preparing for this? Hailee?
You know, it's funny. I think I may have fallen into the misconception of voice work before I hit the ground running with this, in thinking that it is as simple as walking into a booth and wearing your comfy clothes, and you get to set the lighting and whatnot, and you're on your way. I very quickly realized that to approach it any differently than any other character in any other type of film, live action, for instance, would be crazy. This is a real character with a real story, and these characters are so human. It blows me away when I will never forget seeing both of the films for the first time and feeling like I feel like I was there. I feel like I was doing that. I feel like I was in the trenches. I feel like I was swinging from those buildings. It feels so grounded. And so as far as the approach, it wasn't dissimilar to how I would approach a live action. I think the biggest challenge and the biggest difference was not having something to physically take away for as much time as I would have had to break down and analyze the way that I would getting a full script, you know, a few months in advance, the dream. But
Maybe next time.
maybe next time, there is a next time, right? There is a next time. But again, that's where what I was just talking about came into place, where I had to exercise a new muscle in really just learning to trust the process and embrace the sort of chaos that comes with, and feeling like you're not so in control. But I feel like that's what, you know, when you watch this film, you feel that energy, you feel that sort of like you're in it, and from moment to moment you're figuring out what's going to happen next, and you don't know what's going to happen next, and it's so full of surprises, and that's what the experience felt like, which was fun. It kept me on my toes, and it was a huge learning curve for sure.
Shameik, what about for you? What was the experience like?
The experience, I felt like I manifested this opportunity, and honestly, it's hard to really. I approach acting, whether it's live action or being able to work on Spider-Verse versus Miles, all pretty much the same way. It's just like I dance. It's like a stream, and how I talk, stream of consciousness. Like, not so much structure, like really, and more of a like in the moment feeling. Even when I have on clothes and I'm the character, the comfort zone is kind of knowing the lines. Beyond that is like, you know, spirit in the moment, the character, the how I feel in the clothes, who I'm talking to, and etc. And I feel the same way in the booth doing Miles. I love the messaging of the films, first and foremost. Anyone can wear the mask. It's how you wear the mask to make sure a hero. That is like, you know, that motivates me in general. That line, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. That sounds like something I would say. It's like, you know what I mean? It's the heart, the spirit is very. I like the flow that these guys have. It fits really well with my nature, you know, as an artist across the board. So honestly, I just, again, am more so thankful, and the experience is great because I get to learn from Chris, Phil, Kemp, the whole team across the board. You know what I mean? Like, on the first film, the second film, and I get to work with amazing actors. So, and be in this room, and hopefully, etc. You know what I mean?
And one thing that's great about working with these guys is that they both make music, and they're both like really comfortable in a studio and understand like the process of crafting a track is about like punching in for stuff and improving every little element and building it like a collage. So like even though they're here like being very generous, going like, hey, we like like we went with the flow. Like they're craftspeople, and they're craftspeople in a holistic way, and that's like people that we all work with really well. Are folks that are multi hyphenates who can create, because this process it favors people who will bring something to it and who will author their performance.
Yeah, like you have to. I tell people that the process of this is like you'll have success if you have a point of view, a strong point of view. Because I think a lot of times people, especially in a collaborative environment like this, they, for whatever reason, kind of like keep everything to themselves. Maybe from fear, maybe from whatever. But like having a point of view is going to spark a debate. And I feel like so much of this movie was made through debate. It really did feel like we debated our way to a feature film, because sitting in edit, sitting in dailies, it was just debate after debate after debate for years, and nuggets. So many of the best moments in the film came out of debates that we had about what we were trying to do, what are some of the emotions we were trying to get across, the feelings that we were trying to have. Yeah, as opposed to just story math, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like Daniel Kaluuya, who plays Hobie, Spider-Man Punk, he came with a very strong point of view. He's from Camden, the home of the punk movement, and we really wanted him to do this part because he felt like he embodied the thing. But he came in with a point of view like, I don't want to just be a jester. I want to affect the plot, and so we went back and rewrote the script to make him more necessary in this movie, so that the irony of the person that Miles thinks he's going to hate the most, the guy who's cooler than him, it seems, the guy who has a good relationship with a girl he likes, ends up being his only ally when everybody else doesn't have his back. And those little moments that we added made the thing, and he knew exactly how to take the character that he wanted to do and what would be accurate for the people back home. You don't ever get to hear him speak in his regular voice. He's always doing an American accent and everything, but that's his natural voice in this movie. But that's just one example, and everybody across the board came in with a very strong point of view, a very strong take about what they should do. Think about when you watched the film for the first time when it was almost finished, you had like a notebook full of notes of going like, in this shot here I'm running, but my voice doesn't sound like I'm running. Let's re-record that for this. In this scene right here, I feel like I'm not saying it loud enough, or I'm not sad enough in this moment. And then we're like, okay, let's get through and do them all, and it made the movie better. And everybody, from top to bottom, on this movie was like felt ownership, and they felt that they were, the actors all felt like they had ownership of their character, and the animators had ownership over their shots. The lighters had ownership over what the aesthetic of the shot was going to be. Every shot was completely bespoke. Every shot is a VFX shot, and every shot was like reinventing the wheel of how an animated movie can look. And so for the 1,000 people making this movie, everybody took ownership, and that's why it feels so special.
I think the other thing is that no one on the team wants to be the one that drops the ball. Because basically, when you're working on these movies, everyone is bringing the highest level of anything. And so you're like, ah, shit, I gotta work like just make this as good as possible, because you don't, like, you're so inspired by everyone else on this project that just pushes you to like push it harder and just make it as good as it can be. I think everyone did that, and then they'd get inspired by your work, and you get inspired by their work, and it's this kind of like feedback loop.
Yeah, and I will say it's worth saying that not all the decisions are these big, grand, huge changes. In that scene where Miles ends up running from Miguel's laboratory, there was a version of that where Hobie didn't give him the suggestion to use his palms, but that small shift really changed the intentionality. He had like an advocate on his side, and this character was now, you're sort of like rooting for him in a very different way. And it was such a small thing that happened there, but it made a scene that was sort of like at a 70 work at 100.
I love that scene.
Yeah, and it's subtle, you know, it's subtle.
I love that moment. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love that moment. It was a moment for me. Yeah.
Well, the characters aren't sealed off from one another. That each person's personality, it's a reflection of the way the movie's made, affects the other characters. So that like Hobie's like point of view that gets inside Miles' head and changes who he is. That's what we did for one another. Like all these great filmmakers that we got to work with, like we made each other better, we made each other smarter, and like I'm a better filmmaker for being with all these nice people.
We love that. I want to talk about the animation style because the animation style, my gosh, like it's raised the roof as far as like what a film can look like. I mean, talk about the journey because what was it, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years, 4+ years. Yeah, I mean,
What's
I
a
think
year?
what is a year, really? I mean, let's talk about that. I think, I came on at the tail end of the first film, and I remember the industry sort of like had this huge like ripple shutter effect when the first trailer dropped, and it was like, oh, something different's about to happen. Then the film comes out, and it starts really landing and affecting people. And I remember sitting we had a small screening room at Sony, and we screened the first one, and Phil and Chris were sitting in the row in front of me. They turned around and they said like, all right, so now like, how do we make this like bigger? And I was like, dudes, I don't think it gets bigger. Like, I think you guys did it. But I think what the first film allowed us as filmmakers to do was it gave us permission to really try different things and try different tones. And it wasn't about going bigger and the set pieces getting bigger. It was like, how can we make Miles's journey and Gwen's journey a different journey for this film? How can their arcs take ownership of this film and allow us as filmmakers to tell different stories? So it wasn't necessarily the animation style, which is absolutely revolutionary, and so many people brought so many different things. It was the fact that these characters were allowed to evolve, and the animation supported that evolution.
I love that. Shameik and Hailee, what's the one thing about voice acting that people don't really know that you've discovered?
One thing about voice acting, people don't know that I discovered. For one, reading the lines with Kemp, he scared me one time. That's something y'all don't know.
And also that he's an amazing actor himself.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm saying, it was nice.
you'll deny it, but Kemp, when Shameik and I weren't in the booth together, it was
Yeah.
us with you. And,
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
I'm everyone's scene partner, so.
You know that scene where my dad is yelling at me?
I was his dad, which was kind of easy to roll into because I got a kid who's 19 and 25, so it was like really easy for me to get angry at him.
Just like, wow, I'm not ready. Besides that, I think the challenge, I don't know that I was really 100% aware of the challenge, which was, for me, like the getting sad part and the switch of like we'll be 1 second, then it's Gwen, Peter. The next second, then it's like I'm gonna do my own thing, and then it's like it's like the switch of emotions is like it's a challenge.
It's a lot of acting in a row.
In a row.
You don't get breaks. There's no new setup. They're like, all right, great.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We make these films out of sequence, so we'll jump around. With the people, just talking brass tacks, for those that don't know, we do recording sessions in 4-hour blocks, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's a long time. And we're going to jump all around the script and all throughout the film. So we're going to jump from like a high impact scene to a very quiet, emotional scene. And over a 4-hour period, it is really a roller coaster. And because we're doing it out of sequence, it is kind of a heavy ask. And sometimes you have to like allow people a chance to step back and kind of like do a little bit of a reset, because often you have to set the stage for what's happening before and after the scene, because we're not recording that day.
Mhm.
So yeah, you have to be pretty agile with that.
And you save the loud stuff for the end.
Yeah.
Well, there is that. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, and sometimes you'll walk in and they'll say, "There's a lot of efforts, there's a lot of screaming. Should we save it to the end?" And then I always have this moment where I'm like, I really don't know what difference it's going to make entirely, but I guess we could save the screaming till the end.
It's to save your.
Yeah, there is
It's
that.
because you're young.
But yeah, you also like maybe people don't realize that early on in the film, I'm working on the film. We're working on the film. Sometimes they're the most basic drawings, and it's the voice that's giving you the story and the emotion. Because you know, I mean, you can probably talk about that better. But like the process of this movie is crazy in terms of the way you are watching a very finished movie, but we're constantly working on some scenes that are really finished, some things which are in progress, and you'll get some scenes that look amazing and others which literally look a stick man with an arrow point them saying Miles. But then you got the performances which I can work to because they just evoke emotion.
Yeah, there was I don't know if you guys remember, there was a old Paul Verhoeven sci-fi movie called Starship Troopers. You guys remember that?
It's not
It is. I mean, for some people here it is. But I remember watching the making of, and it made me think of our film because like they hadn't designed the bugs yet. So Verhoeven was like, "It's a bug. It's here. There's a bug attacking you." It was a lot of that kind of shit where you're just like, it hasn't been built yet or designed or made. So you're just kind of like, now imagine something really cool being over here. And they're like, right, yeah, sure.
I love that. How much changes based on what you're seeing from your actors and their performance, like script-wise?
Well, the accomplishment of the editors on this picture, led by Mike Andrews, is outrageous because we are like playing together, going like, "Oh, here's a fun way to do the scene," for like the 7th time, and then we dump reams of dialogue that they have to log, and then they will in turn generate like 10 versions of a scene. And like, here's the one where like they did the bit about his shirt. And here's the one where like we tried this other thing. And here's the one we tried like we slowed everything down. And Mike will take all those versions of the scene, sometimes intercut them, and we're all like, so the churn rate is really large. But it allows for the thing that's difficult with any movie, but with this animation technique, is that to create spontaneity is really valuable because it's a mechanized process. It takes years. So like anytime there's something that happens that surprises you, you like hold on to it. And that's what the playfulness of the recording process gives us. That is the engine that drives everything downstream.
I will say, you know, I'm coming from TV, and maybe it was your guys' TV writing, but there was a point where we were all in the records early on, and we would get this run of like a text message chain, and it was like Phil and Chris going like, doing with a smile, doing with a thing, da-da-da. And I was like, holy crap, we have a script, guys. They're like, can we just do what's in the script? And they were like, we're going to do all these. And what I will say is that it led to spontaneity because then it gave, you know, the performers the freedom to just go like, oh shit, I'm just going to do this the way I would say it or the way my cousin would say it. And that's where the spontaneity came in. But it threw me for a loop for the first like 2 months. It was like, guys, are we going to try 1 million versions? They were like 1,000,001 versions. Yes.
Yeah, the spontaneity thing, like for me, that's one of the most exciting things about these projects. It's like it's never set in stone. Like the famous one we had was we were doing this record scratching for the score over the scene when you first meet Miles. Like you know, when you, after the titles tells you what he's been doing, we kind of scratched all these noises in that sequence. And like when he's punching someone, with scratching a punch sound, the spray cans are scratching spray cans. There's a bit at the end with a goose, when he hits a goose, and a goose gets caught up in their fight. And suddenly I was like, we should record scratch a goose. And so I was like, let's just get a goose sound. We got goose sound, and we got the DJ to scratch it. And I was like, this is brilliant. And I was up till about midnight in the studio, working through the overtime costs in the studio, scratching goose honk sounds, which ended up in the film and maybe is my favorite part of the score, in the fact that I record scratched goose.
We recut the scene
Yeah.
and took out the dialogue so that we could feature the goose scratch.
But for me, nothing sums up this movie more than the fact at like midnight, very heavily into the recording finished film process, I decided I want to put scratched goose honk in the score. The filmmakers not only allowed it, but like celebrated it. And for me, that's everything about this movie. It's like, just take it to the craziest places and we've got your back.
It's a dialogue between design and precision, and there's lots of that. And these guys are slayers. They can nail a line read when it's necessary. And it's a dialogue between design and spontaneity.
Yeah, I also love that like the best idea always wins. Like it's hard when you present an idea and someone else presents one that like you think your idea is the best, but then it's like, oh, you know what? That's better. And I love that this group like always got behind the best idea. Like not to blow up Daniel's spot, but it's great to have like Daniel Pemberton doing score and Metro doing soundtrack, because we're looking at scenes and it's always great looking at a scene with Daniel and it's like, oh, that could totally be score. Like, because we have to decide with every scene what's going to be score and what's going to be Metro. And according to Daniel, every scene you're like, I think that'd be better as score. I think that'd be better as score.
Say that.
You did that. I think that'd be better
I
as
did
score.
text Metro the goose scratching video that you sent, and I just said gauntlet thrown.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were pitching him like he should do like a kind of Peter the Wolf kind of album with every farmyard animal for the kids, you know. I don't think he was doing that idea.
I think people are going to be like, can I see the goose scratching video now? I just want to say we have to wrap it up, unfortunately, but there is a reception afterwards, so please feel free to join us. Congratulations to you all on this incredible film, because it is a film. And Seth, and for sharing the story, and we cannot wait for what comes next, because that ending, you're like, wow. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much,
Watch your
guys.
space, and thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks for joining us outside.